So, my Phoenix Rising story for tonight is my relationship to the Phoenix Rising story, or the legend of the Phoenix. I often look at my life framed by Phoenix Rising moments, by moments when kind of everything burnt down, I went through a rough time, and how I rose and what I learned. And I was thinking about sharing the first time I remember this really happening for me, which was when I was like 11 to 14 or 11 to 13, and had a series of things outside of myself that happened that were kind of disillusioning and heartbreaking and rough on my body, and how I rose from that time. And then I thought maybe I would share about when my first major relationship finally broke up and I wanted to die, and really spent a good year crying every day, and how I rose from that. And then I thought about how right now is a Phoenix Rising time for me, that I went through a rough few years really before I moved here, and it crescendoed right before, like maybe the last week or two before I moved here, within my relationship with my husband, and then followed by other dramatic events once I came to Portland, of my plans for coming here, starting school, going back to New York, going to Serbia for a few months, and then coming back here and moving, having to shift those plans, and then the time by myself that I got because of that shift to recenter, and how last year at this time, for this weekend, the weekend of my birthday, I went by myself to Brighton Bush Hot Springs and did private rituals with myself to reconnect. But throughout that whole time, I was still in a really like fight and flight mode. Like I just was in it, in that burning time. And I still ended up going to Serbia, but a lot later than I planned, and had an interesting adventure, a lot of it also alone, while my husband went through his own breakdown. And came back here and found somewhere to live, started going to events where I met new community, and finally had my own spot in the world again. Months later, like by March, I could actually live here. And right after that, Dwayne asked me if I wanted to be on the schedule for the next month with one of my salons, or if I wanted them to be regular, maybe monthly or whatever. So I committed. My commitment to quarterly public salons was a big part of my rising process. And I'm gesturing, but you're not getting to see it. My rising process. But then I want to thank the Salon Empathique community and guests for being a part of this healing period where I'm being able to stretch out my wings again and open up and rise and share. But then I started feeling really tired while I was telling this story, like something felt off in it. And I think it's because I had been burning in other people's fires. I was in situational fires. I wasn't in my own fire. And in the legend of the Phoenix that I was looking at to prepare for the salon, it talks about how the Phoenix chooses her time. Like she knows when she's exhausted. She knows when she's ready to rise again, to die and to rise again. She builds her nest for that process, and then she opens up to the sun to burn her up. And I think that I still haven't gotten to that part of it this time. I haven't had my own safe space and time to build that nest and open up to the fire. So this past week I moved to a new space in my outpost where I have my own bathroom. I really feel like I have my own private nesting space. So as much as this has felt like a rising of sorts to me, I feel like I've been rising out of other fires that were kind of thrown at me. And now I'm still kind of exhausted and injured from it. And what I really need and have needed, and I've been expressing to people for months when I try to talk about it, is this time and space to just build my nest with the fragrant cinnamon bark and whatever else I find, to sit in it, to release the old me, the old exhausted me, let that, all of those stories and all of that section of my life basically burn in my own nest, in my own space, at my own asking. And then I will really rise. So that's what's coming.